By 1989, Nissan Z cars were well known and well received. It was time for a new model. Nissan had made quite a name for themselves, and the next generation Z car had to be good. Spoiler alert, it was. The Z32 300ZX was a marvelous car in the 90s. The company had finally decided to put an emphasis on speed. The new Z was low, sleek, and aerodynamic. It was a quick car and even offered a twin-turbo model. The Z32 was a true sports car. The 90s are considered to be the golden age for Japanese cars, and Nissan was one of the major names. The new 300ZX was a quintessential 90s import car, and it set new standards for the Nissan Z lineup. There's a reason that these cars are still so cool 30 years later. This is the left pedal, and here's the details on the Nissan Z32 300ZX. At the time it was built, the new 300ZX looked like a true, genuine sports car. From the outside, it had very little resemblance to any of the previous Z cars. They did away with the boxiness of the Z31 and made every line of the new model flow into another. The car was 169.5 inches long and 71 inches wide, with a height of 49 inches and a track width of 59 inches in the front and 60.5 inches in the rear. The new model was packed full of safety equipment, features, and technology. While these are objectively good things, the car paid a price in weight. The 300ZX would weigh in at 3,300 to nearly 3,600 pounds depending on the options. Like most cars, the Z was gaining weight with each generation. There were a few different options when buying a Z32. Notably, this was the first generation Z that offered a convertible. Like the previous generations, you could get the Z32 in a slightly longer and heavier 2+2 model, which featured back seats. They weren't big or comfortable, but they were there. On top of that, there were different choices for your engine and transmission. You could get the VG30DE, which was the standard dual overhead cam 3-liter V6. According to Car and Driver road tests at the time, the base model Z in 1990 produced 220 horsepower and 198 pound-feet of torque. It had a top speed of 143 miles an hour and a quarter mile time of 15 seconds at 93 miles an hour. Or if you really wanted to go fast, Nissan would come to offer the VG30DE-TT, a twin-turbo version of the engine with 300 horses. This one had a stop to 60 time of 5 to 6 seconds and topped out at 155 miles an hour. The Z32 was pretty technologically advanced. It featured a 4-wheel steering and an adjustable suspension. The car had 4-wheel disc brakes and had more stopping power than any Z ever at the time. You could get a 4-speed auto or a 5-speed manual transmission in the 300ZX. The new Z not only could perform, it looked good. In the late 90s, the 300ZX headlights were actually picked up and used by Lamborghini in the Diablo. That's a pretty big compliment. The interior was very driver-focused and overall pretty high quality. Unlike a lot of 90s cars, it still looks good today. It did, however, kind of throw its heritage out the window with the interior. It doesn't resemble the typical Z car style nearly as much as every single other Z. This was kind of intentional though. Nissan wanted this to be an enthusiast-focused car. It was supposed to be totally and completely new. The Z32 evolved over the years. Notably, airbags were made standard, the 4-wheel steering was switched from hydraulic to electric power, and a convertible option was added for the first time in any Z. The car was a gamble for Nissan, and unfortunately, it only sold until 1996 here in the States, marking the end of the Z for a few years here. In Japan, the Z made it all the way to the year 2000 when the final model was built. The Z32 was an iconic car and had reigned for a decade, but it was the new millennium. The 90s were over, and it was time for Nissan to lay the 300ZX to rest. The ZX name was retired, and a new car was on its way. Thank you guys for watching. Next week we're going to talk about the ultimate early 2000s tuner, the Nissan 350Z. Make sure to like and subscribe and check out this series we're doing. I'm Soda Pop, this is the Left Pedal, and I will see you next time.